the things you mentioned was, if you go away for 3 days or longer, if you do not take proper precautions by turning off your water, valves to your toilet and under your kitchen sink, and something happens, you may be held negligent, and therefore your insurance is void. So
that's a really good point, Natalie. For those owners who don't know, but a duty of the insured, as in you, if you're in a strata, is to mitigate damage. So the insurers do not accept, say if you're on vacation in Hawaii, you have a pipe burst, it runs for 7 days, because there's no one there to shut it off. You have not mitigated damage, and they can walk from the insurance or not cover you. So if you are going away for a period of time, and I don't have a specific time, all insurance policies are different. I would look at your insurance policy. But if you're going away for more than 2 or 3 days, shut off the water, because that's the number one loss.
Have somebody come in.
Have somebody come in to prevent, freeze up of your pipes. Don't turn your thermostat down to -20. Make sure it's on a reasonable level so things don't freeze up and you have a pipe burst because there's no heat on the place. So you really do need to mitigate damage, and that's not really just because of this insurance conundrum that we're in right now. That's in general, to make sure that your policy is not in jeopardy if you leave on vacation, or because you need to mitigate damage.
So bottom line is educate yourself. First steps, call your local insurance agents if you don't have a policy. We have references for companies out there, and if you do have one, you need to get in touch with them right away to let them know what's going on with your current situation. Get a 5-year history's claims report done from your insurance, from your strata council. They should be able to provide you with the summary, and then you go further to dig into the history. And then what else?
Well, I would just say that if for somebody who's buying a strata property, there's a couple things you need to do. You're right, you need to get the insurance cover note.
That's the new BCREA clause that's going to cover our butts too, because you won't be able to sell and a buyer won't buy without all these details. So.
Right, there's a new clause which Natalie's presented, which is a very good clause, but in effect, it puts some onus or some more due diligence on the buyer. So what you need to do is you need to get this insurance cover note that the strata can supply. You need to look at deductibles. You want to read the minutes to see if there's been losses before. You want to look at a property that does not have a lot of deferred maintenance. Some of the properties that they're in question, or the one that we were dealing with that did not proceed, there was deferred maintenance, and insurers are quite scared to cover that. When I was a property manager, they would send out a questionnaire to me about the state of the building. Exactly. So you want to look at that. If you're going to a general meeting of the Strata Corporation, typically they will have a standalone section on insurance, because it's quite important. So I would look to that. I would read the general meeting minutes, the Strata Council minutes, looking for, deductibles or other insurance claims, deferred maintenance. You have to sort of look at it differently and at the eyes of the insurer. What is a risk? Is it a large place? Is it a small place? What preventive measures they've taken to deal with, deferred maintenance? Do they have a depreciation report? Those kinds of things.
Are becoming more important.
Well, the insurer may look at those. I'm not sure if insurers look at depreciation reports, but they always...
They might start to.
They might start to.
Just to check on the deferred maintenance, exactly where that is at. What were you talking about before about the stated declared value of your personal content?
There is, for those owners who have a place or currently an owner in a place that does not have insurance for some reason, there are certain companies, Gore and I think Walwanisa, who do have potentially coverage you can get on the personal contents. So they can actually cover your portion of the building up to 250% of the stated declared value of your personal contents, and that can turn into, contents on the building itself or on your unit. So I would talk to, your local insurer, look at those two underwriters. You may have to increase your policy coverage on your personal contents, because obviously that's a fairly low level. Typically it's 50 grand or something like that you're covering your personal contents, as opposed to your building might be $350,000 or $500,000.
Yeah.
So there may be a situation where you may have to increase your personal contents coverage, and thereby picking back on the coverage that you may be able to get for the building itself. I would talk to your insurers, but I did talk to one, and that is possible potentially through those two companies or those two underwriters.
Well, there's a lot of information we're gathering. I hope this has been useful for you. The number one claim is the water. It goes down from there. That's 78% frequency. And the severity is at 50% for water claims. It goes down to 38% severity for fire. And then sewer is 7%. Freezing is 3%. And flooding is 3%, depending on your geographic area. So some of the tips that I just wanted to leave you with: if you are in a building with your sprinkler heads, make sure that there's cages around them. That is one way of preventing any issues from
furniture hitting it and going it off, which happens.
Hanging your laundry from it, not good. Check the condition, as we mentioned, of your water seals and your kitchen and your bathroom, the caulking. Know where your shutoff valves are.
That's number one thing.
I have mine I'm in an older building, and some are in my unit and some are in the hall. So you need to make sure you have access to that for emergencies. Know where to get the key. Rubber hoses to washing machines, I mentioned that. 5 years. Inspect your pipes, your fixtures of your unit for rust or corrosion. And turn off your water, as we mentioned, especially if you're leaving on vacation. Implement a non-smoking bylaw. If this is something you want to talk to about your strata, it can change your insurance premiums. And then ensure proper installation and your balconies or barbecues are safe on your balconies.
One thing I would also recommend, and those are great things, Natalie, if you are, looking at buying a place, when you do your regular inspection with your inspector, which you all should be doing, have your inspector comment about the deferred maintenance, if there is any, about, things like the piping, because those, obviously things with older piping, copper piping or leaking piping, those are going to create insurance problems.
Right.
So you might as well, while you're getting your inspection, try to have that inspector look at those kinds of losses, or what you can do to mitigate these, or is the building, one of those types that, because of this age or whatever, or the condition, there is going to be an insurance risk.
Yeah. Well, we've got a spring session for the CHOA Condominium Homeowners Association. That's a tongue twister for me. Coming up in Cloverdale at the Sunrise Golf Center on 188th. It's March 28th. Some of the things to add to, maybe you want to partake, is the risk management and maintenance is the session number 1. Session number 2 is how to manage the increased cost of insurance deductibles and how this will impact your strata's ability to collect a deductible when an owner is responsible for a claim. That's a really big topic. And then the third is the Human Rights Code accommodating occupants for alterations to strata lots with exemptions from bylaws. So lots of details out there. I'm Natalie, this is Norm, and we can be found at the link below. Have a great day, everybody, and thanks for listening.
Thanks.